This is your daily dose of all things royal.
Let's bring you some other breaking news now. It's understood the King and Queen have hosted the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet at Highgrove House today. Before today, the Duke of Sussex had only seen his father once in the last 2.5 years. The King and Queen hosted them at Highgrove in Gloucestershire. It had been unclear if Meghan and the children would join Harry on his visit to the UK.
Well, I think it certainly will be for royal watchers out there, Chris. Good evening to you. Yeah, this is the first time that the King has actually met his granddaughter and grandson from Prince Harry's side of the family since the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee all the way back in June 2022. And if you were to ask me on Monday afternoon whether I thought this meeting would take place, I would have told you absolutely no chance. And then by Tuesday, when the King had publicly attacked one of the King's Council judges following that High Court judgment, in this case against the Mail, I would have thought absolutely not again, because it would have put the King in quite a constitutionally difficult position. Nonetheless, the King has privately hosted the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who's flown in with the two children from their holiday home in Europe, we believe, to Highgrove House in Gloucestershire, the King's private house in Highgrove in Gloucestershire, with the Queen present as well, which I think is quite significant. Harry and Queen Camilla have not exactly been on the best of terms ever since the publication of Harry's memoir, Spare, back in 2023. I think at the heart of this really is a family. Forget the fact they're members of the royal family. The King is, 77 years old now. He's undergoing cancer treatment. He's been desperate to see his grandchildren for a long time, who clearly live in California and don't come back to the UK very often. There's been quite a lot of security concerns, but Harry clearly saw it was the right time to host kind of a private family tea. And for the avoidance of doubt, the information I've been given came from palace sources, so from within Buckingham Palace, rather than a source close to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which again is quite significant. This is the King and the King staff wanting this information out there. Kind of a private family tea. And for the avoidance of doubt, the information I've been given came from palace sources, so from within Buckingham Palace, rather than a source close to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which again is quite significant. This is the King and the King staff wanting this information out there.
Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Probably a bad move by the palace to make sure that the journalists are specific, saying that this is a palace source and that this is information that the King wants out there. This continues to keep validating everything that I've been telling you about this couple and what they really came over to the United States to do. This so-called private tea never happened. And in this video, I'm about to blow this whole narrative out of the water. Before we get started, please be sure to hit that like button because you know that this video is going to be good. Okay, let's get down to business. The first thing that we all should pay attention to is who is reporting this news. So what I did on my social media feed and have recorded what I've posted, showing all the media outlets posting the same message across the board, literally at the same time. So right there, this tells you that this is all highly coordinated and that in order to pull this off, to give breaking news across the BBC and Sky News, the palace is behind this. We have Katie Nicholl out the bat for Vanity Fair writing an article exclusive. King Charles was adamant that his reunion with Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie Markle, and little Betty Markle be kept private. If that's the case, then why did the palace tell all of these journalists that this meeting was happening in the first place? All the journalists are parroting that there were no photos to be taken, no media, no cameras, no interviews, aside from Queen Camilla being present and a witness. And any photos, if taken, will be owned by the Crown. So literally no evidence that this meeting has taken place at all. We're supposed to trust these propagandists who have lied to us for the last 10 years about this stupid saga. Now, if that doesn't convince you, let me get into showing you how it was impossible for this meeting to ever happen. We're going to be using good old-fashioned logic and common sense. So just as a starting point, we're going to go with Chris Ship's initial post that he placed on X. And I'm showing you the time difference here because I'm in New York, so I had to switch the settings in order to get BST time. So Chris Ship writes, Prince Harry has arrived at the Invictus Games event in Birmingham to mark 1 year to go until Birmingham 2027, which takes place at the NEC in July 2027. The Duke of Sussex is here without the Duchess of Sussex, who announced she wouldn't be attending any public engagements in the UK this week, despite previously saying she would. It is thought that Meghan is currently in the UK with the couple's children, Archie Markle and little Betty Markle, but that they are visiting privately. So you can see here timestamp 9:45 a.m. in the UK. And then we get at 5:43 p.m. BST time, 1:43 p.m. New York time, Chris Ship writing, breaking. For those following the Will Harry and Meghan see King Charles while they're in the UK story, we have some news. The king did see his son and Meghan and Archie Markle and little Betty Markle this afternoon at Highgrove, shortly after Prince Harry left the Invictus Games event in Birmingham. So if you go back and you look at all the media outlets, it's around this time, at 5:45 p.m. in the UK, that they started to release this news. So they want us all to believe that after this Invictus event, Harry went to go have tea with his father and meet up with Meghan and the two invisible children. So they want us to believe that after Harry's event in Birmingham, he went to Highgrove, which is 1 hour and 30 minutes away by car. So we're supposed to believe that this tea allegedly happened in the afternoon. Well, we have a big problem here with that, because if this happened in the afternoon, when did Harry leave Birmingham to get to the afternoon? Because anybody realize that Charles had an engagement in the afternoon? So it's documented that yesterday King Charles went to Harwell campus in the afternoon. When you look at the distance between Highgrove and this Harwell campus, it's about 1 hour and 2 minutes by car. There is no indication that Charles took a helicopter to this location. So the big question here is, what time was Charles at this campus? By judging this clock, it shows that Charles was there at 2:40 p.m. So we're hovering around 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30, showing up and starting this event, which means he likely had to leave at around 1:45, 1 o'clock. If we're hovering in this window, Charles would have had to have left at latest 1:30, if we are to believe that Charles had tea with Meghan, Harry, and the two invisible children. So this is where it becomes impossible, because Birmingham Live was live reporting from this event, and we have a timestamp of 12:38 UK time, almost 1 p.m. And it will be very hard to believe if they start reporting that Harry left earlier than that to make it in time for this tea, because he had to have been there for at least a good 2 hours. And if he was showing up at around 10 o'clock in the morning, he definitely needed the time to do the interview with ITV, which per the interviewer's watch showing 10:20 in the morning, as well as play all of these games with the athletes and then do that speech. Minimum 2 hours at this event. So they can't pull any of this bullshit that Harry left earlier than that to get to Highgrove. No way. So let's walk through this, given the fact that it's about an hour and a half distance between the NEC Birmingham to Highgrove. This would have placed Harry at Highgrove around 2 p.m. Let's just say, even if this event with Charles began at 2:30, it would have meant that Charles would have had to have left Highgrove by 1:30. It's absolutely impossible at this point for Harry to have made it there in time for tea. And given the fact that all of these journalists are reporting the same narrative and script about how the king wanted this meeting to be private, there'll be no photos, there will be no evidence that this meeting ever took place, should tell you something in itself. And then on top of it, going viral right now is this footage that people are thinking is from yesterday, but really it's from 2018, right before Harry and Meghan got married. So there's clearly a lot of effort that has been going into this, but nobody is buying it, or at least I'm not buying it, considering we've been lied to for the last 10 years. And now we've got these so-called reporters saying that, oh, there'll be more meetings, like possibly a Christmas invite or other family events that they could be invited to. This was a great step in the right direction. Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me here? All of these media outlets look so stupid right now. But what's even more stupid are all the people that's believing this story, that this actually happened, talking about, oh, how Camilla is there and she's going to be like the witness in case, let's say, the story gets told differently. Do you really think Camilla is going to come out and challenge any story that Harry and Meghan tell on this alleged meeting? No, they haven't in the last 10 years. Why would they start doing that now? Right? Who made who cry? They could have easily have cleared that up, but they chose not to. Now we have this bullshit going on. Do y'all see the games that these people are playing with us or have been playing with all of us? This whole thing has been nothing but a circus to keep us distracted. Looking at this photo from the Daily Express, right? You've got Prince Harry leaving Althorpe. So they just had photographers conveniently sitting outside waiting for Harry to leave. I mean, there are multiple entrances. And then we have this now floating around on Reddit. We have Jujulaby writing. I saw his report earlier and summarized it on another thread, but we'll post it here. According to Neil Sean, who got it from one of his quote-unquote excellent sources, 1. Markle managed to get through to someone, and she said Harry was in terrible mental shape. Oh, here we go, using the mental health card. Harry was ushered in without Markle, who had to wait outside with the Spawn. Queen Camilla was there. Markle and Spawn were allowed in after the private meeting between Harry, King Charles, and Queen Camilla. All devices had to be left outside, and it seems they were scanned for any kind of electronic surveillance equipment. And then there was a photo or photos, but these are owned by the Crown and so cannot be used publicly in any way, so they aren't of commercial value to the Markles. Oh, you mean just like that alleged photo between Little Betty and the big Lilibet? Now, I didn't see what Neil Sean had to say, but if his excellent sources are reporting this, then they must be pulling a wool over his eye because from a timing-wise, it would have been impossible. Unless the king has clones that he has out and about. Now, all of this is starting to get on my nerves because nobody is talking about the things that matter. This is all shit that doesn't matter, clogging up the media space with pure garbage, knocking the headlines off of Harry for losing his court case, as well as lying in his court case, and also the revelation of him drugging Charlotte Griffiths. So now we're getting all of the heartstrings being pulled. Oh, the king has cancer and he wants to see these grandkids, and Harry's mental state is not so good. I really don't give a flying F. Do you? I don't care to hear about Harry and his mental state because he did this to himself, and I don't feel sorry. Does he feel any remorse for what he's done to us? No. So why should we give a shit? Especially since they have been lying these past 10 years. Why should we have to believe anything that these people are telling us now? And now we're getting all of these headlines that Meghan is furious with all of this Buckingham Palace chaos, that they are the ones that leaked this information about this meeting. Come on, give me a break here. I have lost so much respect for the royal family, given that the palace now is backing this ludicrous narrative that Meghan is in the UK with these two kids and the king met for tea. It's impossible. Look at the timelines. It didn't happen. And now we're going to hear from now to the end of the year all of these stories about this alleged tea and what actually went down, and those excellent sources coming forward, throwing out that Archie found this in common with the king, and oh, how the king was elated to see these two kids. And we're going to get more stories about this private meeting between Camilla, the king, and Harry, and speculation about what was being discussed, all the while ignoring the seriousness of what this couple have been doing in this country. Notice all of the so-called commentators never talk about their involvement in all of this here, right? It's like Archwell Fugazi Public Charity never existed. We never hear about that anymore, and questioning why the Harkles wiped their website. No, instead, these journalists, if you can call them that, are going to continue on with this slop that they're feeding us and telling us that we have to believe. Use your common sense. From a time perspective, this meeting could not have happened. Like, I'm amazed with everyone falling in line and going along with this. Like, have you not learned anything these past 10 years? They're telling us to trust them over our own common sense. Right? You see Cameron saying, well, the palace released this statement for anybody who is doubting it because they know people are going to doubt it, which goes to show you right there that there is an element of deceit. To my viewers out there, does this pass the sniff test? Do you believe anything that you're being told at this point about what's going on? Look at the circus leading up to this visit. Will they, won't they? Meghan's going, Meghan's not going because of security. The whole thing has been nothing but one big show. And the worst thing about it is that the palace has been involved. Don't think that they haven't been involved this whole entire time, allowing this to go on. And for those that are still on the fence saying, oh no, the royal family have nothing to do with this couple, then you're proving to the palace that the public is stupid. And now we're going to get stories coming out from sources inside the palace of how furious William is that this meeting took place. Which at this point, we should all be questioning this feud. Is this a real feud? Like this whole thing with this woman that we're told to call Meghan Markle has been nothing but chaos from the word go. Given that the royal family provides zero explanation for anything, we should be allowed to challenge these narratives that we are being fed, especially when they don't jive. And with so many conflicting narratives, these journalists are taking the public for fools. Like, it's really now getting on my nerves because there's a lot that's being covered up at this point. And I think you all see it, especially when it comes down to these two phantom children that are supposed to be legitimate in the line of succession. There's so much distrust with the palace at this point that the public should be furious that they've been manipulated. I think the big question that we have here is, will we ever know the real truth? I don't think so. They're going to continue on with this farcical story about this couple who now look like they're crawling back with their tail between their legs because they're out of money. No, that's not what's going on. Anything that we're seeing is not what's going on. I think many of you know it, you see it, and your gut instinct is telling you otherwise. So this time around, trust your gut. We really do need to get our common sense back and stop trusting these journalists because they're not to be trusted. They have done and continue to do a lot of damage here, not only with this stupid story, but other stories that we see outside of the royal bubble. Anyway, those are just my thoughts, and I wanted to share with everyone. What do you guys think? Do you think that this meeting really went down? Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
It was such a fraud.